All right, what's up, everybody? So I'm going to do a little bit of programming here today. We've got a Gatsby site. I use a Gatsby site for my compileswift.com website, which you can see over here on the right. I'll run through these windows very quickly, and I'm going to talk about what we're going to do in this video. Here's the live site at the top here. I'll just reload it, compileswift.com. Down here is my local running instance. I've got Visual Studio Code open over here with it running. As you can see, I did a yarn start. That's how we've got the local host running here. Basically, at the moment, they're both the same. The local host and the remote site match. And what I want to do is I want to put a search box at the top here so that you can use search to search the site. Now, because this is a static site, it's a JAMStack static site, we can do things a little different. And this isn't perfect, and I hope that I'll find a better way to do this in the future. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same code basically that I use on one of my other sites, which is uibuzz.com, and I'll just show you quickly. We'll just load it up here. All right, so this is one of my other sites, and we've got this search site box at the top here. And when you put something in, let's say streaming, let's try that, right? And you just hit return, it actually goes off, and as you can see what it does, it searches just my site, just uibuzz.com on DuckDuckGo, and brings back the list of results. Not perfect, because it's obviously taking you away from the site, but hopefully, you click any one of these, it's going to take you right back to it. So like, for example, if we click on this one, it's going to take you back to the site with the episode here, as a Geezers Who Game and Code podcast episode. It's a podcast I work on with a friend, but you can see that it takes you back to the site. So it's not perfect, but it's going to do for the initial pass for now. So we're going to add that to this remote site down here, and I'm going to leave the live site up at the top here just so we've got it for reference. So I'm going to cheat a little bit in that I've already copied the code from the other website. So I'm just going to, now just to show you where I am in the file, this is the index.js. This is the index file. And right here, this line where I'm at here is basically the code between the block that repeats to show these panels and the header, right? So just to show you just quickly, if I just put something in, I'll just put like, hello, and just save it. Right, you can see that's exactly where we are in the code, right? And that's where it appears on the screen. So I'm just going to take that out. And I'm just going to go ahead and get my code snippet here. I got to just take care of something quickly. So just 1 second. I noticed something on the stream. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I just noticed there was a weird thing on the stream I had to check. If you're following along and you're in the chat channels, please feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to try and answer them as we work through this. So let's go ahead. Firstly, I'm going to paste in the raw code that I've copied across from the other site, which is this entire section right here. Now, the first thing to note is, there is no definition for section here on this site. So I'm just going to change this to a div. Now, if I save it, it's not going to work, and I'll explain why. It's gonna fail because on the other site, which is not Gatsby based, it's actually a micro.blog site, which is a fantastic service. It's paid, but I thoroughly recommend it. It uses different formats here. So I know what the problem is. It's complaining about the styling because the styling doesn't match what JSX components and code would expect. So for right now, I'm actually just going to strip out all of this styling because probably going to want it to be different for this site anyway. So we'll just go ahead and strip out all of that there. So it's just going to look pretty horrible right now. All right, let's try and reload it, see if it loads up. And I think it's actually still not, I think it's still failing on something here. So let's go ahead and we'll do a yarn start again. And then let's try reloading over here. All right, so let's see. It failed to compile. Let's see what it's complaining about. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I see it here. And actually, this value here, I can strip this code out, because what it does is on the other side, it basically pulls out the domain name. Well, in this case, I know what the domain name is, right? It's compileswift.com. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And it reformatted, so that's a good sign. Here we go. Okay, so we've got our basic search box. Obviously, I've stripped out all the styling, all of the layout here, but let's go ahead and try it. So let's search for, let's think of something. Let's do Swift UI, and I'm just going to hit return. Perfect. Okay, so it's gone off now, and it's gone to DuckDuckGo. It's searched compileswift.com for anything that has Swift UI in it. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what we want. So for example, if I click on this one, it's going to take me straight back to the site with the post and the video. Perfect. Okay, and then obviously right now it's going to go to compileswift.com. Makes perfect sense, right? But I'm actually running it on the local host here. So that's fine, because in the end result, that's where we want it to go, compileswift.com. You know, again, the reason it's doing that is because I've hard-coded the domain here perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and get some styling going on here. So the first thing that we want to do is we can sort of play around with this a bit. So let's do it sort of the ghetto way a little bit. Let's just put a break tag in and see how that looks. Interestingly, it doesn't do a darn thing. Okay. That's fine. So what I want to make sure is that this search box here, all of this code, is actually, it does exist within this repeating block here, within this div, which is using a flex layout. And just so you know what a flex layout is, in case you don't, notice how it reformats all these blocks based on the width of the browser, right? So when we've got basically one column, it looks fantastic because everything's in one column and it wraps around correctly, and we've got our search box here. But if we're using more than one column, obviously things are looking a little peculiar, right? So we got to fix this up. So what we want to do is, even when it's more than one column, we want this box to go above. So, you know, I'm doing this live. I haven't pre-tested this or to make sure it works or anything. So let's just have some fun with it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it before those blocks, because since it's a block by itself, it actually doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be in that wrap. Now, interestingly, what it's going to do is you can see it's put it off to the side here. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't actually mind it being on the side. Let me see if would that work for us? Let's think about this for a second. It almost gives it a right-hand column, which is not a bad, left-hand column. And actually, that's, you know, funny enough, this was not my intention, but now that I'm seeing it, I'm not sure that I don't dislike it. But actually, you know what? Yeah, okay, the one column view does break it, so that's not going to work for us. So okay, let's take this code here again, and let's think about our layout here. So it's okay for it to go in here. We're just going to format it correctly. Now, before I want to go any further though, I'm actually going to make a quick couple of changes. I just want this one to say search. And actually, I am going to now add some style to this. And what I'm going to do, let's think. I'm thinking that just a bold is going to work just fine, actually. So I could actually just say font weight bold. It's got to be a string, bold. And I messed it up somewhere. There we go. So actually I do like that just being bold like that. Now what I want though is I want the label to go next to the input box and the search box. And what I'm thinking about is if I can actually just steal directly this style here for the div, for the search. So actually, instead of having a class of search, because there is no definition in the CSS for it, I wonder what happens. Let's just experiment a bit. Oh, awesome. Look at that for getting lucky. Okay, let's check our multiple layouts. Stretch is fine. Single's fine. Perfect. How awesome is that? Don't you just love it when things work out correctly? All right. So let's take a quick look here. The next thing we want to do. I think of the next thing I want to do. So, you know, we got this going on. We got the search, but there is no gap here, right, between the form, basically the form and this search string here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a little padding, I think, on the right. So we're going to say padding right, and let's make it, let's just pick a number of 10. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, we'll go with 10. Let's have a look here. So, you know, kind of a boring kind of layout here on the button and everything else. So first of all, what I think I'm going to do is, as I'm looking at this, I feel like the search field could actually be a little longer, right? So we'll get to the button in a second, but what I'm wondering is, if I just put in here, yeah, let's just do it in line. If I put in a style here as well, right, and I just say that the width is 100, not sure what's going to happen, so let's find out. Let's see if it's actually respecting that. 200. Okay. All right. Now, is 300 too big? I actually don't feel that's too big. You know, it's a nice, still plays nice on the full width stretch like that. And then if I go down to a single, well, actually, you know what? It bothers me on the single because I kind of want it to, my ADD wants it to line up with these panels. So I'm going to make it 250. Yeah, I think I can live with that. 250. Okay, so that's looking better. Now let's move on to the button. For the button, I'm going to do the same thing again. We're going to put some styling in. All right. And for starters, I want a little padding on a little margin on the left, because I don't want the button right sort of butt up against the input box. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's just add some left padding this, left margin this time. So margin left. And again, let's try 10. Yep. Okay, so we've got 10 on this side, 10 on that side. It's all nicely balanced. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead again, just check. Yep. Okay, that's rebuilding itself nicely. And the length on single view is still okay. Even with that 10, I think it's okay. So we're still looking good. Now let's make this search button look a bit better though, because kind of boring, right? But before we do that, let's just make sure that everything's working still correctly. So I'm actually going to try, let's say, view controller. And I'll just do a quick search. Yep, still working. Got 2 came back. Okay, great. So there we go. Let's just reload that again. Yep, things are still looking good. Okay, now let's go ahead and work on this search button. So what do we want to do? You know, the first thing that's always tempting is to put a slight rounded corner on it. I don't know, it's so overused. But at the same time, this is a site about the Swift programming language, which is obviously an Apple thing. And, you know, Apple, I mean, they use those curved corners. So I feel like we should almost try it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say border radius. And we're just going to give it just a small number. We'll just give it a 5. See what we get. All right, I'm going to deal with the styling here in a second, but it's got a slight curve to it. Okay, let's now go ahead and set the border style. So border style. I'm just going to make it solid because, I mean, it's fine. And actually, since we're going to add a few more, let's just stylize this out a little. There we go. Make it more readable. Okay. So we're getting there, right? We've got a slight curve. I reckon, actually, in all honesty, we could probably just bump it up just one more so that it shows a little better. Great. Okay. Now let's look at the background color. So I almost feel like we should explore with using the same background color that I've got here, this kind of Swifty color. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And I happen to know that if I just actually, you know what? I can use one of my tools here. I'm just gonna inspect this element. We're gonna look at this, and it's gonna have the RGB value right there for us. So I'm just gonna copy that and paste it in here. Not sure how this is going to work out. I may have get the coding wrong here in the style, in the values, the way it expects for this component, but let's try it. All right, look at us getting lucky today. Okay, so for the border color, I actually feel like the border color could just be white. It's gonna, well, actually, no, you know what? I say that, but I should show you before we go any further. There is a dark mode on this website, and it's picked up from Mac OS. So if I switch to dark, if I toggle dark mode on my system, see how now we've got this beautiful dark mode here on the site. So now that I'm looking at this, you know, if I put white there, it's going to be kind of obvious. So I feel like the border color, if I make it the same as the button, it won't be so obvious. So let's go back and toggle dark mode off for now. So we can do that by just basically, I'm going to take this here, copy it across, and I'll just change this to border color and save it. And let's reload it. Yep, looking good. Now, following our patterns, our standards of colors here, you know, these are navigation items at the top with white coloring, and all of these panels down here, you know, essentially the text is white to make it, you know, something you can click on as well. And this button, therefore, should be white. So I should be able to just say that the color should be white. Perfect. Okay. Let's check dark mode again quickly. Yep, look at that. Looking awesome. Okay. Toggle back. Great, this is going very well. Okay, so what else do we want to do? Well, let's put a slight curve on this box as well to keep the formatting. So we're going to go back up here. Here's our box, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make life easy on myself, and I'm just going to copy there, and in the style up here, just going to put it in, save it. Great. Now the color though, got to change the color because it's defaulting to this color, which is the one that we don't want. So let's make these a little easier to read. And now we'll add a border color. I think that maybe for this one, let's actually experiment. Why don't we just go ahead and try carrying on this aesthetic that we've got here with this color. So I'll just do that and save it. I think that works. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Let's double check dark mode. Yeah, I'm okay with this. All right. Now, there is one thing, there's two things actually that are bothering me, and we'll deal with these one by one. And the first one, and this is just, you know, the designer and the ADD in me. I don't like how close this text is to the edge of this box, and I don't like how the search label here is not truly aligned with the center of this box. What is actually happening is it's aligned with the div here, right? But because that's bigger than what we're seeing, you know, this little bit here is just not lining up quite right. So we'll get to that one in a second. But for now, let's start by doing this here. All right, let's just deal with that. And I think we can deal with that by just adding a very small amount of padding on the left. So I'm just going to say padding left. And I'm literally just going to put 2. And we'll see. Just the smallest little amount. Okay, maybe a little more. Let's double it and go to 4. Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. But in case you put a really long string, let's test it, right? It's going to bother me now on the right as well, even though it's not so much. So just for grins, I'm going to put it on the right as well, just so I know it's there and it balances out nicely. Let's reload it. Let's test it again. There you go. I'm feeling a whole lot better about that. Okay. Good. So that's that taken care of. Now let's see, what else do we have? So we're talking about this search label here and how it doesn't line up. See how it's lining up at the top there? And this one I am going to have to think about, because I gotta think about my CSS on this. It's been a while. So what we want to do is we want to drop this down to a center aligned here. And it's just this label up here. Now, I'm betting there's probably the CSS purists out there are going to crucify me for this, because there's different ways you can do it. But the most immediate way that I remember off the top of my head is I actually think I can just add a little padding to the top of, say, 2 pixels. And it's going to move it down. I get it. I know someone out there is saying, yeah, but when the font scales on a machine where they've got the font set differently and everything, I know. But I think that's going to work for me. I'm actually going to take it back up just 1. All right, so there we go. So we got the search box here now. I'm actually quite surprised how quickly I got this all together. So as you can see, just to recap for those of you that have joined, the live CompileSwift website up here, compileswift.com, does not have a search box. And on this Gatsby site, I've got a local instance running down here where I've now added this search box here. Okay, it's the code we've added here. Basically, just so you all know, just to identify this form, that form there is the entire search box. Okay, that's all there is to. Well, actually, I'm sorry. It actually starts up here now with the div, because I've used the div to get the alignment in as well. So that highlighted section right there, okay, just to go over it again, this here, line 59, is where this header ends, right? The navigation and the header ends. As I scroll down here, this post.map is where it starts to work through and map out the posts in each of these panels. And in between is the new code that we've added today, which is all of this highlighted part here, which is purely the search box. So that's how that's going to work. And I think that this is good enough. And actually, I'm really pleased with how quickly we got this done. So with that said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check it into source code. I use Netlify as the hosting, netlify.com. They don't sponsor me or anything. I just think they're really great hosts. So I'm just going to add this to source control. It's just that one file. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to say added search box. This is the commit message. Added search box to the home screen. Commit it. Push it. Okay, so it's pushed. So right now, if you go to compileswift.com, you're going to see the version without the search box there. Let's go into Netlify. All right, I'm just going to log in. We'll go to CompileSwift here. You can see that it's already picked it up. It started building it. The latest commit there, added search box to home screen. So we'll give that a minute. And then once that says that it's published, we'll go back and check. And the live site should now match our running local site here. And if that is the case, then we got this done. Now, how's that? We got it done in pretty fast order as well. I think we got it done in under 30 minutes. Looking at the live recording time here, we're at 24 minutes, 30 seconds. So that's not bad. A search box in under 30 minutes. Okay, so it's published. That was nice and fast. Thank you, Netlify. Let's go over here, reload. Beautiful. The live compileswift.com website now has a search box. Let's test it. We'll do a UI view controller. Hit return. Great. Let's just pick one. Let's do this one. Should go back to the site. Yep, with the correct post. Fantastic. We are done here, I think. Let's just test one more. Let's do one more test because I hit return. I want to make sure this search button, you should always check everything. And also, I'm just going to make doubly sure, yep, still scales nicely with each of those. So it's going to look great on a mobile phone or a tablet. So let's do one more. Let's do Swift UI because everyone's doing Swift UI. So I'm going to do Swift UI and search. Great. And as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff on Swift UI. So fantastic. We have, in under 30 minutes, a working search box on compileswift.com. So I think we will leave it there for now. Catch this in the replay if you didn't catch any of it, where I go through and explain all the code here and the styling and how we got to where we're at. But as you can see, even with JAMStack sites, it's real easy to add a search box. And the great with this is, again, because it's serving up static files, it's nice and fast, and you're relying on the bigger search engines and all their infrastructure to basically do the indexing and the searching for you and come back to your site. So for the sake of just having to put up with essentially leaving the site and going to, DuckDuckGo and having the list come up here, it's not perfect. I prefer to stay on my own site with my own branding, but this gets it solved for now. And then maybe in the future, I'll go through and look at some of these third-party services and other options to do sort of on-site searching here. I know it can be done, but this gets us up and running for now. So with that, I guess we'll leave that stream here for now. And I'll say thank you, everyone. If this has been helpful, please, like, subscribe, Twitch. It's on twitch.tv. It's on YouTube. You're probably watching it on one of those now. Go to compileswift.com if you're interested in Swift. Like I say, please like, subscribe. You can find me on Twitter. If you do @UIBUZZ, @UIBuzz, that's kind of my general handle there. But if you want to talk anything specific to Swift, you can do @CompileSwift as well. So with that, I'll say thanks very much, everybody, for watching, and we'll leave it there.